What do you get when you combine simplified practice marketing, proven ROI strategy, and Van skate shoes? You get Mark Thackeray, of course. So lace up, grab your green smoothie, and get ready, because this is Dental Marketing Secrets. And this is Mark.
Another day, welcome back on this super sunny day here in Salt Lake City. Welcome back to the show, the Dental Marketing Secrets podcast, where, as you know, our whole goal is to provide you with tactics and tools and resources to help you grow your practice, really what's working now in the dental marketing world so that you can serve more patients and ultimately leave a greater impact. My name is Mark Thackeray, and you can probably hear my kids in the background. It is lunchtime here at the Thackeray household, and the noise level just ticks right up whenever there's food on the table. But so excited to have you with me. I just finished up a conversation with Fred Joyal, the one and only Fred Joyal, on teledentistry. Now, Fred, if you don't know who Fred is, he's a nationally recognized speaker. He's authored 2 best-selling books, Everything is Marketing, and then also Becoming Remarkable, that are tremendous resources, lots of great information in there. Fred was the co-founder of 1-800-DENTIST, and he is really one of the leading authorities on dental practice marketing and consumer behavior. So it was an honor to have him on the show. He also serves on the board of Fortune Management and is currently the Chief Marketing Officer for Armor Respiration. His website is fredjoyal.com, FredJoyal.com, and his email is fredjoyal@gmail.com. And we dive into this topic of teledentistry. We're sitting in the middle of this pandemic still in mid-January 2021. Vaccine has come out in the early stages of adoption, and we're still going to be seeing a lot of effects. And teledentistry is here to stay, So it's not just applicable during the pandemic, but it's going to be something that will really be an integral part of your practice and your overall practice experience moving in the future. And so you're going to want to listen to this with a pen and some paper, because Fred has a lot of great things that he touches on. What's it likely going to look like on the horizon with teledentistry. What teledentistry really looks like from a practice standpoint, as well as what that looks like from a patient standpoint. He talks about how we're in the relationship business. And I love that phrase. We are in the relationship business, and how once you adopt that mindset, that radically changes everything you do in respect to your patients. So without further ado, let's jump into the conversation with Fred Joyal. All right, Fred, welcome to the show. So excited to have you on here. Thanks for taking the time.
Happy to be here. It's gonna, we're gonna get some interesting material covered here, I'm sure. So.
I know, and it's something that's been on my mind for a while. This idea of teledentistry. And really over the past year with the pandemic, a lot of practices have been forced into teledental and teledentistry. And some have really embraced it, others not so much. Others it's been a struggle to really implement this, and some have just avoided it completely. So it's kind of an interesting situation that we're in, because we're still in the midst of the pandemic, and although the vaccine's out there and things, it's starting to be shared around, but it's I don't know how long this is going to be. So let's start there, Fred. I mean, what is your take on what the current context, and where do you see what's on the horizon for teledentistry?
Yeah, well, a year ago, you couldn't talk any dentist into doing teledentistry. They basically, the premise was, I need to see the patient, right? Which is a fairly reasonable thing to do until you couldn't see the patient anymore. And suddenly teledentistry emerged as an option, and people started to realize the different facets of it, and that it actually could be utilized very effectively. You could get paid for it. It could actually help in converting patients. It could save you having to run into the office unnecessarily,
right,
when all they need is a prescription. You could tell very quickly, I can't touch this person until they've had antibiotics for 5 days, right?
Right.
So you don't have to go in the office at 10 o'clock at night to do that. The dimensions of it started to spread, and it was, I wouldn't say widely embraced, but I would say the acceleration of embrace was phenomenal. Because I think there's at least 20% of dentists who have some sort of app that they're using for teledentistry, and they fully adapted it. You know, it's not a major part of their practice, but it's way more than just diagnostic or triage or something like that. So that's a lot of what we can get, because obviously we're talking about marketing too. What's its marketing value, which I think is really high.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, just that need to connect with your patients, especially during a time of uncertainty, you know, to help them understand, hey, that you're here and available to them if they need something. It's a great tool that way to build that relationship and really reinforce that relationship is probably a better way to put that. Fred, where do you see this going? I mean, do you think moving into 2021, is this, even if, let's say, well, let's start there. What do you think, what's going to happen in 2021?
Well, I just got my first vaccination today. I got the Moderna vaccination because we are starting to vaccinate people over 65, which tragically I fit in that group.
No way.
But so I'm a month from my second one, and then a week after that. So until February 19th, I'm not really in the clear. Okay. And I got back today.
Yeah.
I'm the first wave of people who are not in the medical field.
Right.
Okay. And many of the people in the medical field, I mean, I was surrounded by people who are in the medical field who were getting it. So we are going to limp our way out of this pandemic.
Right.
And it could mutate. This isn't going to be the last pandemic we ever experience. I was just reading just how as the planet gets warmer, our tendency to release more strains of various bacteria, viruses, and stuff like that increases. Wow. Just coming out of the permafrost and everything. Yeah. Now, whatever you want to believe, but the reality is we are experiencing strains and mutations and things like that. Some of them could be extremely virulent. This thing, as bad as it is as number of people that are seriously ill with it, is not particularly lethal. It's less than 1% lethal. That's not bad. 2-3% lethal. Think about where we'd be right now.
Right. Yeah, that's great.
It doesn't have to be 5% lethal to be drastic. That would be 5 times what's going on right now. But we're already in devastated mode.
Yeah.
And so you need as many tools to treat and connect with your patients. Let's start with the simplest of things. This is a way to communicate with a patient with your mask off. How hard is it to communicate with a patient through a mask? How hard is it to present a $20,000, $25,000 restorative case with a mask on? I mean, you might as well be waving a 6-gun around at the same time.
Right.
So let's just take that. Your ability to transfer into what we have learned is a very powerful communication. Imagine if this was 10 years ago, none of us would have had Zoom or FaceTime or Skype or any of that stuff. The loneliness factor would have skyrocketed. The business of people working from home would have, been highly ineffectual. So in many ways, we are blessed with this communication, and you have the ability to focus on emergencies during this time. If you've got patients, now I'm seeing anywhere from 25 to 50% of a patient base in a practice reluctant to return.
Yeah.
Because they don't feel safe. And it could be their immune compromised. They could have asthma. They could just be paranoid. Or who knows? They could be realistic.
Right.
We don't really know. So for those people to maintain a connection with their dental practitioner. And I want to get to another key point. Don't let me forget what else was accelerated. Let's tease about what got accelerated by this pandemic in dentistry. But your ability to connect with those people and triage them and say, hey, just open your mouth and go up to the camera and let me see what's going on at least.
Right.
They say this, tell me what's going on. We forget how much we learn from the conversation with the patient. How sensitive is it? Is it throbbing? Is it hurting? Does it, have somebody smell your breath?
Right.
Or have you noticed that your breath is significantly more pungent or something?
Right.
This tells you a lot about the person. And also looking at is there swelling here? Obviously you can see they've lost a filling or they've cracked a crown or something like that. And you say, look, we're going to have to get you in,
Yeah, right.
But when you're doing it face to face and say, look, you need to come in, but understand this is one of the safest places on the planet right now. My practice, we had the sterilization procedures we had in place before were extraordinary to protect you and us. We've gone to another whole level of that. You're going to be protected when you come here, but we need to get you healthy.
Right.
Because, and here's the hook, right? If you don't have a healthy mouth, you don't have a healthy immune system.
Right. That's such a big key that a lot of the general population doesn't recognize is the correlation or the connection between oral health and overall health, and just how it's really the gateway to a lot of these things. And so if you can help educate them, like you said, and this is a fantastic tool to do that, where I loved how you put it, Fred, where you can communicate with your mask off. How wonderful is that? We all know the difficulty of trying to speak and be understood at the grocery store with your mask on. You don't know if they're talking to you. You don't know what words they're saying, but now you can read and communicate, with words, obviously, but also facial expressions, and you can get so much from that interaction. How
much tone of voice do we lose through a mask? 30%?
Yeah.
Through 2 layers of PPE.
Right.
It's, there's power. It's not the words we use. It's our body language, our inflection, our tone that communicates so much. And if it's muffled, how powerful is it? Let's reverse that. And let me just add, because I don't want to bounce around too much, but the marketing things are so valuable to me. I know there's technical stuff we should talk about, but from a marketing standpoint, to do 2 things with teledentistry. One, which has been around forever, and it's in both my books and Everything is Marketing and Becoming Remarkable, I emphasized it. Call the new patient before they come in.
Yes.
Now you can FaceTime or Zoom the new patient and welcome them to your practice. And guess what's happening? A whole bunch of patients are changing the practices that they go to because they don't feel safe at their old dentist. Some dentists have not adapted a high level of safety for the patient. And their patients, factually so, shouldn't feel that safe in the practice. I'm not saying it's 10 or 20%, but I'm saying there's dentists who are like, I don't think this is a problem. I'm not doing anything.
Right. Just brush it off.
And their patients say, fine, don't do anything. But I'm changing dentists.
Yeah.
I've talked to dentists, and you probably have heard this too. 50% of their new patients, on average, are record transfers.
Wow.
They're not, I don't have a dentist, I'm looking for a dentist. They are moving because they're looking for somebody safe. You get on the phone visually with that person and say, welcome to my practice. Now, on the phone, it's good, because you're starting a relationship. Building rapport with a patient is paramount. The sooner you do it, the better. The more it makes them show up for that first appointment. Now they've had visual contact with you, and they're showing up. And you get to say, once again, it's one of the safest places on the planet.
Right.
You know, if somebody's leaving a practice because they don't feel safe, here's your chance to go, you wait in your car till we're ready to see you. When you come in, everybody's got masks on. We make you wash your hands. We totally re-sterilize the rooms every time. We change all our PPE every time. We fog the room with hypochlorous or flood it with UV light, whatever the heck it is. And maybe you get to say, I have CEREC technology, or I use lasers, so that this appointment's going to go faster than you've ever seen it before. Our goal is to get you in, take care of you in one visit, and get you out.
Yeah. And it's a tremendous opportunity, you know, and I love being, like you said, Fred, where you're getting into that relationship as quickly as possible. And what that does is it allows the patient to, you know, to voice any concerns. If you're not reaching out, then they're not voicing those concerns, and you have no opportunity to resolve those concerns. And so a lot of times they just go somewhere else. They don't even come in for their appointment or whatever the case may be. But now you're giving them that opportunity to share that. And so that you can then, you know, you can build that trust, like you said, and really show them, explain to them how they're going to be so much safer by coming in. Here's all the steps that we take, you know, and kind of a show and tell there, and build that relationship. I love that. I'm going to play devil's advocate for just a second. So what if I'm a dentist and I'm in practice, how in the world do I have time to do this, Fred? I mean, you're asking me to call a patient before, you're asking me to maybe hop on a Zoom call before a patient comes in. I don't have time for that.
Then you're not running your day right. That is, if you're not making an effort to grow your practice through your patient base and your new patient base, you'll have time because you'll have a no-show. Suddenly you'll have an hour when you're not doing anything. So it's not that much time. If you start timing this out, they don't want to talk for a half an hour. They want 2 minutes is huge for somebody. Welcome to my practice. Are there any issues that you have? Well, I didn't feel safe at the other practice. That's why I'm leaving. Okay, let me tell you this, and this about our practice. Can't wait to see you on Thursday. We're going to get you in and on here, but we're going to take care of everything you need. Do you know what's going on? No, all I know is it hurts. Great. Can't wait to see you Thursday.
Yeah.
A minute and a half. You don't have a minute and a half to you're going to spend 30 minutes presenting to them and trying to get them to do something, and half of them aren't going to do it. What about getting 3/4 of them to accept treatment immediately because you can get it done right then, and you're already in rapport? That's just not understanding the use of your time. You think your job is to run around spinning a handpiece. Your job is to convince people to take care of their teeth. And how your effectiveness in doing that is directly reflected by how much production you do, how tight your schedule is, how big the cases are. So that would be my answer. It's like, if you don't have time, here's the other answer. Somebody else does.
Yeah. Well,
let them do it. Go ahead. They'll find the time. They'll take, and part 2 of using this is you should be calling every patient who's had anesthesia at night. Now you can do a Zoom call. Now you can use your teledentist. It's not a Zoom call. You use your teledentistry app, which is HIPAA compliant, to be able to talk to that patient and say, how are you doing? Just want to know, night and day in terms of, my dentist does this. Okay. And every dentist I know that does that does it religiously, because they know it cements that relationship. It turns directly into word of mouth. That patient sends everybody they know to her practice because of that. 10 minutes. They'll actually set their phone to give them an alert at 6 o'clock, and they spend the next 10 minutes connecting with those patients. Big deal.
So yeah,
you don't have time between 6 and 6:10. I talk to dentists who say it's their favorite part of the day.
Yeah.
Or that they say my favorite part of the day is welcoming patients to the practice.
Right.
Sometimes they'll send me another patient before they even show up. They go, "You won't believe what this new dentist is doing. He's calling." And people are going like, "He did what?" My dentist won't even talk to me. I have to talk to my hygienist to get any information, or the receptionist if she'll just not put me on hold. So we are in a relationship business, and we have an opportunity to capitalize on this. And again, drive home more quickly than ever the connection between oral health and overall health. Yes. This pandemic, the great gift of this pandemic to dentistry is we can help people make this connection because now they get it.
Yeah.
You go, how could you possibly fight off any kind of flu, never mind COVID, with gum disease? Your immune system's already working 24 hours a day. Oh, yeah, that kind of makes sense. Yeah, it kind of does.
Yeah, such a good point. And this is something that extends itself beyond just the lifetime of the pandemic. I mean, now that, because as you're saying, building into these, really creating a system where you're always reaching out, welcoming patients to the new practice or new patients to the practice, following up on patients. And by the way, that's one of the things that when we work with clients, we're going through their reviews. Those always show up, when people say, like you said, the doctor called and checked on me. I couldn't believe that he took the time to actually call me and see how I was doing. You have no idea how far that goes with patients. And so building that into your overall system, whether, we're safe from COVID or this pandemic goes away miraculously somehow, that's should become a staple of your overall practice system. Is that what I'm hearing, Fred?
Yep. This should be permanent. This is a marketing and relationship tool and a case acceptance enhancer, accelerator. Yeah. Your acceptance will absolutely go up. How many points? It depends how badly you're doing it now. But there's no way this doesn't increase case acceptance.
Yeah.
And case completion. Because you get to put a temporary on them, or you start an implant case and they don't want to finish it, but because life gets in the way, but you've gotten on the phone with them the night of the surgery and you said, by the way, don't forget, we got to put a solid crown on this. This is a temporary. Don't wait till you swallow the dang thing to come in. Okay. And they go, yeah. All right. I understand. It's like, because I know you and you're going to see how long this temporary lasts. Yeah. Let's not do that this time because I don't want to have to re-prepare the tooth because you wore the temporary so long. You're right, Doc. I know. I'll be in next week.
Yeah. So powerful. Yeah. And I love how you said it. We're in the relationship business. And so everything that you do should be with an eye towards building, reinforcing, strengthening that relationship. And I've talked about this on the show before, where how neat would it be as a patient who's been presented a case, they're not sure about the treatment. They're having questions. If you just followed up with them, shared a quick little video of how, hey, I know you've been thinking about this. Here's what I'd recommend. Here's why I suggested that, and really help educate them on what the purpose is, what it could look like if you accept the treatment, as well as the risks that you run by avoiding or postponing treatment, and just demonstrate that you're there and you're doing all this to help them make the best decision possible.
Yeah. That's the way it can work, is because you're tightening everything about the practice. I mean, I would even have hygienists, if you've got people who are trying to tighten your recall, do it as a Zoom call. Do it as teledentistry and say, hi, Miss Angie. You need to get in here and clean your teeth. Now Angie, again, doesn't have a mask on, and she's looking them right in the eye and going, it's been 9 months, right? Yeah. I'm going to have to take out a hammer and chisel to get the plaque off because you're supposed to come in 3. Okay. You've avoided it because of COVID. There's no excuse. get in here. Let's get those gums. Your gums are getting unhealthier by the minute with all the plaque buildup. So come on in.
Yeah. I love that. And then you're just really cementing that relationship. There's just no better way to do that, because it's harder to do that in the practice sometimes when you're off and running, you're doing so many things, but here's really one-on-one time to contribute to that relationship. So Fred, let me ask you.
And who's the relationship with so often? The hygienist.
Yeah. Yes.
That's cornerstone relationship for most people is their relationship with the hygienist. And they'll pick up if she FaceTimes them or calls them through the app somehow.
Yeah.
And she gets to go, come on, what you got to do.
Yeah, absolutely.
And suddenly they're in the schedule. And she'll say, I got an opening tomorrow. Oh yeah, of course. Of course you can come in. You work from home, right? You got your schedule's wide open.
Right. Well, I love how just the language that you use too when these are just, hypothetical situations that you're using, but I just love how informal that is. It's not sterile or anything like that. You're injecting your personality just like you would in person. You're not trying to say it has been exactly 90 days since you visited our practice.
Please
or anything.
Answer yes if you are to confirm the appointment.
I know. And you're like, does anyone ever say that? And so, but it's just that personal touch, and that's what builds relationships. I can't get enough of that. From how do you get started in this? So if you've been lagging, let's say that you haven't adopted this quite yet, or you're looking to really adjust the way that you do things and make teledentistry an integral part of how you treat patients, of how you approach patients. How do you get started? What would you say, Fred? What are some of the first things you do?
I think what you want to do is find yourself a HIPAA compliant app that does it. And now there's probably a half a dozen out there. Patient Pop has one, and it allows you to do the video call. It allows the good apps. You can do a call. You can charge the patient right there. You can use it. It'll talk to your schedule, and it'll put in the right code for what type of teledentistry call is, and see if you can even get paid for it. You're not going to get paid for the evening check-in, but you didn't anyway. But that's not the point. The point is if you're triaging an emergency, your ability to take an emergency that you wouldn't take at all, because this is what a lot of dentists have realized is in this pandemic is like emergencies is a heck of a great way to build a practice.
Yeah.
But it's also a heck of a way to take care of your patient base by actually being there. When I've talked to dentists for years, it's like, my goal is to not do any emergencies after hours. It's like, well, I know that you didn't go into medicine because they got to do emergencies because it's life and death. But this is, as a marketing guy, this is a way to take care of your people. If they can get a hold of you, if they can get in, if you don't need to get them in, if 4 Advil will solve the problem till tomorrow, why not do a 3-minute teledentistry call and solidify that relationship one more time? I am here for you. That's what it says. I have the phone number of my the mobile number of everybody I work with in medicine.
Mm-hmm.
I can text them because I don't have to call them. They may not answer if I call, but if I text them, I'll hear in 5 minutes or immediately.
Yeah.
Why? Because I'm their patient.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't mind. They just look at it and go, oh, what? And I said, I need to talk to you for 1 minute. I called my physician on New Year's Day a couple of years ago and went, I'm flying tomorrow and I'm feeling a sinus infection come on. Can you call in a Z-Pack for me? And I said, I'm sorry to bug you on New Year's Day. He goes, don't apologize. That's why I gave you my number. Calls it. And now I'm instead of getting sicker, I'm getting better.
Right.
How tight is my relationship with that practitioner at that point? That's what this is all about, is you're getting them, again, our job is to get them to accept the treatment that they need in spite of themselves.
Right.
Right. So we have to be clever about it. We have to appeal to what works with human nature.
Well, and that's such a great way to show up. I think just demonstrating time and time again that I am available for you. Really, my whole goal is to serve you in any way that I can. Through my expertise, through my experience. If it's just checking up on someone, if it's just walking through a problem or scenario or symptom that they're having, let's talk about it. And just I think that's such an important thing to remember. Let me ask you this, Fred, too. What as a, cause I'm thinking long-term, what are some of the risks that practices run by not adopting teledentistry, by just kind of saying, hey, I'm that's not me. I hear a lot of that, like, oh, I'm not that type of person, or that's just too much work. So what are some of the risks that you foresee these practices run in the future by avoiding teledentistry?
Well, think of who your patients will be. Gen X, Gen Z, okay? They do everything with that little thing in their hand,
right?
Okay? They are completely used to TikToking everything they do and Snapchatting everything they do and everything they eat and everywhere they go, even though nobody can go anywhere right now. But this is how they communicate. And if you're not adapting to that, they will migrate to dentists. The dentists coming out of school, they're already doing that. They already think that way. They didn't have a breathing moment without a cell phone.
Right.
So you're going to watch the great migration happen to you, because that's what I call this shift of patients from a practice they don't feel safe into a practice they feel safe in. Is the great migration of patients to the dentists who adapted technology to make it faster, adapted safety procedures, and adapted services like teledentistry, and start taking emergencies. People are not going to the dentist unless it's emergency now, way more than before. And it's an emergency is with an existing patient. It's not just with a new patient or somebody who doesn't have a dentist at all.
Right.
So what you're doing when you miss opportunities and you let patients migrate away, you shrink to the point where your overhead doesn't, and suddenly you've got a practice that's less profitable, and the patients are moving away. And what have you got for a transition? You got a shrinking patient base, an aging, shrinking patient base. The buyer looks at it and goes, I'll give you 50% of collections.
Yeah.
And you better take it, because it'll go to 40 next year. So that's what you're looking at. That's the doomsday scenario, is like, practicing ostrich dentistry. Like, as long as I ignore the change, it won't happen to me. It doesn't work. Everything got accelerated. This crisis accelerates change.
Right.
Okay. My friend Bernie Stoltz says that all the time. And he says, have you seen a bigger crisis than this in dentistry? Never. It is accelerating change in every direction.
And that's such a well, and if you can embrace that mentality that this change provides ample opportunity for progress. You gotta embrace that mindset that with challenge comes huge opportunity. And yes, it can be challenging to pivot and to, like you said, start integrating some of these practices into your daily routine, whether it's a checkup, whether it's welcoming new patients, but it becomes easier, as you get started and as you start doing it, and as you see and experience the reactions that you are getting and generating from your patients, it will be it'll perpetuate itself. It makes it so much easier to catch the vision, and you'll enjoy what you do more. I've seen this with practice with clients, that as they are more in tune with their patients, they derive much greater satisfaction from their work. They do better work. They're not as stressed, and that translates into a whole host of benefits for them and their family life and everything else. But it's just such a trickle down effect there.
Yeah, and you say there's these dentists who go, "That's not me." Is it really? You're not a friendly person. You're antisocial. then that may be the issue. But if you don't like doing it, or you don't believe it'll work, or you think it's too much trouble, then basically that's what you've got to fix, because you're not correct about
Right.
it. You know, you can say, oh, I don't believe that a spaceship can leave the Earth, but it does.
Right.
And that's why the Earth is surrounded by satellites. So you can say that I don't believe that you can launch a rocket, but it happens all the time.
Yeah.
You know, so it's a matter of saying, okay, if it's already, we're not asking you to innovate here. We're asking you to adapt what's already working and proven, and will impact you if you don't. You know, there's, you know, you can watch what happened, or do what's happening, or make something happen,
right.
or wonder what happened.
Yeah,
you
know?
know?
I love that.
So you don't want to be wondering what happened to you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So tell me this, Fred, what, you know, if you're adopting teledentistry, what would you do from a marketing standpoint to get that right message out to your patients? What are some things that you would automatically do, that you would immediately start doing once you want to, in order to let patients know this is available now?
Well, everybody should have some sort of patient communication software where they can e-blast their entire patient base. And so you should be sending a text and an e-blast to your entire patient base saying, this practice has now adapted teledentistry as part of our way of treating you. This means we're available for emergencies on a video call. This means we're going to do evening check-ins on a video call. This means if you have a simple question with you, or you need to get in touch with the hygienist, you're going to be able to do that through this technology from the safety of your phone.
I love that.
Just let them know and say, we are here for you. Yeah.
Help them connect the dots too. I love the examples you gave. You really have to see it from their perspective. Like why in the world, you know, what is teledentistry? Some people don't even know that, you know, so really helping them understand this is what that looks like to you as a patient. If you have a question, you can reach out, you know, all those scenarios, and maybe even give an example and say, hey, we had a patient come in or call me yesterday who felt like this was a crisis. I was able to walk her through. She just needed some aspirin. That's all she needed, you know, and then we got her in a couple of days later and resolved the problem. But, you know, it just helped them see the benefit that you're providing to them because of teledentistry.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that's just use your communication software to let everybody know and how to use it. So, and you know, how to either make an appointment that way or call the office or get it arranged. They can go log online and book an appointment that way as a teledentistry appointment. So.
And that's a great competitive advantage for a lot of practices, because there's still, I don't think a lot of offices do a great job at marketing that they are doing teledentistry. You know, that some of them have the capability and they do it in-house when they're talking with a patient in the chair, for example, but you know, externally, they're not really broadcasting that message out. And so that's a huge opportunity for practices to let people know, hey, we're here from you. And this is why we go above and beyond for our patients. This is all the things we do, teledentistry included.
Yeah. I mean, put it on your website, put it in your Google and Yelp profile. That's, you know, part of introducing people to your practice and connecting with them as fast as possible. You know, we live in an immediate gratification world. If they feel like they can somehow get on a video call with you immediately, and it doesn't have to be, you know, have a team member say, answer the teledentistry call. It doesn't have to be the doctor. How can I help you? Half the time the team can help just fine.
Yeah.
You definitely need to come in.
Yeah.
You know,
right.
You have broken that tooth right off. 8 and 9 are snapped in half. You need to get in here. So, but then what is it? It's a friendly fix.
Yeah.
You know, so it says, come on in. It's exponentially more powerful than a phone call.
Well, and tying that into, you know, if you did adopt the welcoming a new patient call, and tying that into that conversation and say, hey, I just want to let you know that we're also available, you know, on your phone. You know, I mean, you can always call, of course, like we're talking here, but you can also have someone, you know, we can set up a time for the doctor to talk to you, you know, via teledentistry as well, and just help them again, let them, you're just helping them understand everything that you do for their benefit. So awesome. Oh, Fred, we could keep going forever. I know you have another engagement coming up, but so any last words, any last comments you want to make on this?
Well, yeah. And so what I've been doing, I'm doing two things right now. I am doing for the rest of January, I'm doing individual marketing consultations for practices. All they have to do is contact me at fredjoyal@gmail.com. and say, it's just basically a 1 hour. I sort of dig into their digital presence and their results. Yeah. I'm going to have some questions I'm going to feed them ahead of time. So it runs a diagnostic, both verbal and technological, on their digital presence and their marketing results. Just to see if I can help them. And there's no charge for that. And I may just end up pointing them in the right direction for the right tools. But I'm also in Southern California. I'm launching a mastermind group of 20 dentists, and that's going to be much more in depth. It's going to encompass not just marketing, but leadership and culture and everything I've learned in 35 years of business, both inside and outside the dental world, to help them become stronger dental CEOs. So if you're in Southern California and you want to jump into something unique and extremely impactful on you, email me and we'll talk about it. We'll see if it's for you.
That's awesome. I'll make sure I put those up in the show notes as well. But Fred, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate your time and your experience. We'll have to have you back in the future.
Love it. Thank you very much, Mark. I always appreciate a lively discussion on marketing.
Did you enjoy this episode of the Dental Marketing Secrets Podcast? Head on over to iTunes to subscribe, rate, and leave a review. And for more proven marketing strategies to grow your practice, visit practicerocket.net.